Hey, what's up? It's Kit. Time for another video. If you're new to this channel talks about the hows and whys of fishing. We answer a lot of questions without the distractions of the outdoors. Alrighty, so think of this as a fishing classroom. Now, today we're going to be talking about fast jigging physics, how the rod, the reel, and how hydrodynamics come into play. And the reason why we need to have at least a slight idea of these things is so that we could always keep in mind while we're fishing why those things are done. Okay, a certain action, going fast, going slow, and all of this. This video explains the dynamics and the reason why things should be done the way they are done. One of the very first things that you have to understand is the rod. And the rod is literally an energy storage system. All right. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is functioning similarly to something that you actually are very familiar with and you interact with on a day-to-day basis. And if you understand how this works, this object that you interact every day with, it kind of gives you a glimpse of exactly how the rod is supposed to perform. And that thing is a spring. Okay, when you lift the rod, it bends. The bend is not just movement, it is stored energy. And this is the idea behind elastic potential energy. The more the rod bends, the more energy it stores. The rod wants to return to its straight shape. Think of it like pulling back on a spring. And what actually happens is that you lift the rod loads, it bends. The energy is stored. Then the rod snaps back or unloads. Okay? So it's the rod, not your arm, that creates the explosive movement of the jig. The rod acts like a spring. Now, what happens when the rod bends and when the rod actually releases? Now, there's an energy conversion. Okay? So, potential energy turns into kinetic energy. When the rod unloads, stored energy becomes motion. This is kinetic energy. So the energy stored or stored energy when the rod is bent, it gets released as movement. And that movement travels through the line and moves the jig. Okay? The result is that the jig doesn't just move upward, it suddenly accelerates. The acceleration is what triggers the fish. Here's something that we have to kind of really keep in mind. All right. So the reel controls energy timing, not just the speed. The reel's job is often misunderstood, and it does not create the main action. A lot of people assume that when you reel it creates the action. It doesn't. Okay. What it controls is the when and the how energy is applied. Now, during the jigging cycle, okay, you have your lift phase. That's when the rod loads. That's when it stores energy. Now, the reel phase is when you crank, okay, you pick up the slack. And when you pick up the slack, what happens is that it maintains tension. Now, remember when you're doing this, you're picking up slack and you're taking out the stretch, okay? Now, on the release phase, that's when the rod recoils and it unloads. The energy transfers. Okay, so now the reason why this is important is because of two things. Now, if the reel is too fast or too slow, it disrupts energy transfer. Okay, so if it's too fast, there's no pause, no horizontal movement, and we know that the fish only bite when the jig is horizontal. Okay? Too slow, you'll have slack and you lose energy. Now, the energy, of course, transfers through the line. And the line is not perfectly rigid. We know this, it stretches. And when it stretches, it means that we're losing. Okay, we're losing energy, or there's a delay in energy transfer. When that happens, the rod unloads, the energy travels down the line. Some energy is absorbed by the stretch. The remaining energy reaches the jig. So, in shallower water, that means an almost instantaneous response, because when you're shallower, there's less stretch. Remember, we're always computing stretch and slack, by percentages, and that could be as much as 7%, right? And this affects when you're fishing in the deep. Okay, there will be a delay or a softened response. Okay, now this is why deeper jigging feels kind of delayed or less direct. Okay, also, if you notice, when you're jigging deeper, you'll have to have longer strokes to move the jig than when you're shallower. So in shallower water, you could do um, 1/4 cranks, and then the rod starts to move because there's almost no stretch and the response is almost instantaneous. Whereas when you're deeper, you can't just do the half crank or the 1/4 cranks and you know um, work your jig or work your rod in small movements. In deeper water, you actually have to crank more and then move the rod more to get the same kind of action. Now, this is all because of the stretch. And when there's stretch, there's either in deeper water, okay, there's either a delayed or a softened response. So here's where it starts to kind of get interesting, at least for me. I don't know with you guys, right? But the jig receives a pulse of energy. Okay, so the jig doesn't really continuously move. It receives bursts or pulses of energy from the rod. Each pulse causes a sudden upward acceleration. Okay, and this causes an instability in the jig. And that instability is critical. That's very critical. Okay, now when you're moving, you're not moving continuously. Now remember, even if you're moving continuously, it actually just reaches the the jig in pulses. It's not a straight continuous transfer of energy. Jigging, the name itself, jigging, that it's not going to be a steady thing. It's going to be kind of pulsing. So if you didn't notice, we're actually going kind of like in order, So as soon as the transfer of energy is uh, at the terminal point, just the jig, okay, hydrodynamics takes over. And this is why the jig moves the way it does. Once the jig moves, water takes over, and this is governed by hydrodynamics. The forces acting on the jig are the drag, which is caused by the water's resistance or water resistance, the lift. Okay, lift is caused by the shape of the jig and the angle of attack. Okay, and of course, gravity. Okay, so what happens during a lift is the jig accelerates upwards. And we know this. We know how the jig moves when the rod is lifted up. Okay, it initiates the acceleration of the jig or the movement of the jig, and the jig accelerates upwards. The water pushes against the surface because the surface is uneven. Okay, it gets uneven pressure forms, and then this is when the jig tilts or kicks sideways. And this creates the action. It could be a darting action, okay, a sliding action. It could be, depending on the shape of the jig, it could be uh, uh, a zigzag motion. It could be a fluttering motion. So the lift is variable depending on the shape of the jig. So why does this happen? Why does the jig turn horizontal? Well, after the upward burst, the speed drops. The water resistance increases relative to motion, and gravity starts pulling down. So literally what happens is this. It kind of tumbles and then settles in that position. Okay? So the result is the jig loses stability. It either rolls or flattens. Okay? It creates the horizontal position. So boom, just like that. Okay? Now, this is critical because this is the exact moment the fish strike. This is the natural position of a wounded bait fish, not like that. Okay, and this is where they would strike, where the jig is perceived moving towards. Okay, what I mean is that when you pull, the origin of pull becomes kind of the direction of where the jig is going, and fish will always hit the head. Okay, so the movement slows, the jig looks vulnerable, and this is where the strike happens. And this is the exact moment of the fish strike. Okay, so when it's in the horizontal position and then it starts to decelerate, the fish see a chance of vulnerability or a perception of vulnerability, and then bang, that's it. Now, as we stated before, the shape determines the movement behavior. Okay, different jig shapes react differently to the same energy input. Long, narrow jigs, it has less drag. They move upward faster and they have a sharper darting motion. Wider jigs have more drag, slower movement, and they have more wobble. Now, here's the thing. Um, there's an in-betweener, as what I mentioned before, which are the semi-long jigs. Now, shape affects how water flows around the jig, which dictates exactly how they move. Okay, water pressure builds, and then this pressure creates an imbalance, and this imbalance creates the motion. Cadence is nothing but controlled energy pulsing. Okay, fast jigging is not a random movement. As we know, it's kind of repeating. It's a cycle, so it's a repeatable energy cycle, and it starts when the rod is loaded. It releases energy. When it recoils, the jig accelerates. Okay, and then it gets destabilized at the apex. It turns horizontal, and the process repeats itself. Right. So good cadence creates consistent energy pulses. Well, bad cadence, it breaks the cycle and it reduces effectiveness. So this whole system works because of controlled instability. This is the most important concept that we kind of need to uh, keep in mind. The fish are triggered not by the smooth motion, but by instability. Now the full chain is as follows: the rod stores the energy, and then it releases the energy. It accelerates the jig. Water destabilizes it. The jig loses control, and that's the part where it gets horizontal, and then the fish strikes. If not, then we continue the motion. Now, predators are tuned to detect weakness, loss of control, and irregular motion. This is literally what we keep on looping, right? We make it look like it's weak, it's losing control, and the motion is kind of irregular, not the normal swimming motion of the fish or bait fish. Prey for them, and that's it. Now, so looking at all of this, fast jigging works because it combines physics, which is literally the transfer of energy, the pulsing of the energy, mechanics, that's the rod and reel timing, and the hydrodynamics, which is like how the jig interacts with the water. Now, the rod creates the energy, the reel controls it, the time, the duration, the hang time of the jig, and the water turns it into a strike trigger because that's when the jig is horizontal. All right. So, again, just as a recap, the rod stores the energy and releases it. The reel controls the timing and the tension. Very, very important. The line transfers the energy. There is some loss to that, as we know. Okay. And you have to compensate by lifting the rod higher, reeling faster so that you'll take off the slack and the stretch. Okay. The jig converts the energy into movement. Water shapes that movement into something the fish attacks. Okay. And the jig's movement is dictated by the shape. Alrighty. So hopefully that kind of clears things up. And this is a summary of quite a few of the videos that we already published. This is kind of like a simplified version of this whole thing, kind of like a a bird's eye view of things and how it works. Alrighty. If you have questions, drop them down in the comment section, and yeah, let's start the discussion. Alrighty. Now, if you're new to this channel, again, if you want to learn and help this channel out, please subscribe. It's really a really big thing for us as a growing channel. And our niche is kind of unique because it's fishing education, and we're not in the sea. That's where I say that there's less or none of the distractions, when you're doing instructional videos and you're in the water. So if you might have fishing buddies or family and friends that might get into this topic of jigging or just learning, fishing in general, share the video. Very, very important. Alrighty. And I'd like to thank the members. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Of course, the subscribers. And if you want to do something extra for the channel, click on that membership button. It helps the channel move forward. It helps me, and it's greatly appreciated. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.